Arthur Bishop is a hitman who, since faking his own death on his last mission, lives a quiet life in Rio de Janeiro under the name Santos. He heads over to his usual spot for dinner one evening when he is approached by a courier named Rene Tran, who somehow knows Arthur's true identity, and offers him a job to kill 3 people and stage them as accidents, and threatens to expose the fact that he is still alive to all his enemies if he refuses. After spotting all her guys closing in around him, Arthur hurriedly snaps a photo of Renee before introducing her face to the table, knocking her out. The other guys rush in, but Arthur evades their strikes, giving one man's face a perfect sear. The people downstairs must think their steak is ready. Arthur manages to put down the men with brutal strikes, but realizing more men are on their way, he launches himself over the side of the balcony. Renee and her men load into a sky tram to go after him, but it turns out Arthur is on top of their tram. How? Don't ask. Renee realizes and fires off shots through the roof, but before they can corner him, Arthur launches himself again onto a passing hand glider on some Fast and the Furious type shit. Maybe this was when he got the role. Later, Arthur makes it back to his boat, but realizing that some men are snooping around, he blows the boat up, killing them. He makes his way to another secret location in a shipping yard where he uploads Renee's photo to run a check and burns his passport. To stay low, Arthur travels all the way to Thailand where he connects with an old friend May, noting that he needs to find someone before they find him. May brings him to the hut she has always kept for him, and once alone he pulls out another chest with multiple passports and devices. He finally gets the information on Renee, only to see that she works for a notorious crime lord named Rhea Crane. The next day, Arthur spots some brand new cheeks on the beach. The cheeks, Gina, heads into May's shop asking for first aid, and May notices that the woman is bruised and beaten, and offers help in code, but Gina refuses and leaves. That night, May sees Gina on her boat with an unknown man having a fight, and runs to get Arthur. Arthur sees Gina getting beaten up, but he wants to stay out of it. May reminds him how he helped her once, and begs him to go help Gina before she is killed. Arthur gives in and takes a speedboat out near to where the yacht is anchored and swims the rest of the way. He comes on board to see the man slap Gina and warns him to let her go. The man refuses and tries going for a fish gun, but Arthur disarms him, and in the struggle the man falls and hits his head fatally. Gina passes out just as May pulls up in a boat, so Arthur hands her to May to take her to shore. Arthur heads down into the boat where he finds Gina's passport and in her cell phone, a picture of him. To cover his tracks, Arthur sails the yacht further out into the ocean before setting it on fire. He gets back to shore where he finds Gina in his bed. He angrily confronts her about his picture and suspects that Crane also sent her. Arthur holds her at gunpoint, but Gina tries disarming him, but when she feels that equality she decides to talk. She admits that Crane sent her, but she has no choice since he has something on her. The man on the boat was supposed to be a setup and Arthur was supposed to save her, but the man played his part a little too well. The plan was for Arthur to fall in love with Gina, then Gina would get kidnapped, which would force Arthur to complete the missions. It would be better to kidnap May. Arthur tells Gina to make the call to Crane so that he can take him out, but Gina refuses, not wanting to get deeper into the mess. Digging deeper into Gina's background, Arthur finds video footage of her working in Cambodia at a children's shelter. And the next day on the beach, Gina explains how Crane kidnapped and killed her staff member in Cambodia, and threatened to do the same to the kids if she didn't do what he wanted. Later, Arthur notices some of Crane's men surveying the house from the sea and decides to put on a show for them. May sees the two and thinks that they're a couple and invites them to a couple's dance, giving the guys some good footage. Damn perverts. Gina starts to get handsy and starts giggling at everything Arthur says, so you know the cheeks are on the verge of being invaded. That night, Gina finds Arthur by a fire wanting to apologize for dragging him into the mess. They start to share sad stories, like how Arthur and Crane were raised as child soldiers together, but Arthur managed to escape. Like Jesus Christ, just kiss already. Oh, there it is. Don't you see that you're doing exactly what Crane wants you to do? Just kick the girl out and move on. But nope, Arthur demolishes the cheeks that night, so now he is in love. Arthur plans to let Gina escape the island and then go after Crane and kill him. Arthur gives her his watch for safekeeping, as it is the only memory he has left of his father. The next day, Crane's men rush the beach along with Thai police. Arthur begins to fight off the men, but they grab Gina and put her on a boat. Arthur tries to get to her, but gets held at gunpoint and is forced to stand down. Arthur is taken to a large villa where he is searched and told to sit, realizing too late that he just sat on a pressure-sensitive bomb, which the movie forgets about later. Crane then reveals himself, noting how easy it was to track Arthur down. Arthur demands that he hand over Gina and walk away, but Crane is no punk and refuses. Crane gives Arthur a mission to eliminate an African warlord being held inside an impenetrable prison on an island, or he will never see Gina again. Arthur unwillingly accepts and begins to plan his mission. He goes through recent wanted posters and finds a man who looks similar to him with a dice tattoo on his face. Arthur gets himself some shark repellent and powerful Semtex which he disguises as gum, before painting the dice tattoo on his face. The next day, Arthur gets himself arrested and shipped off to the island prison, where all his little items pass inspection. Soon Arthur is sitting in the yard when he spots his target Krill, walking through the yard with his bodyguards and learns from an old man that Krill has some enemies in the yard. Arthur notices some men passing a shank around and intercepts it by causing an accident in the mess hall. The next day he sees another man attempting to assassinate Krill and kills the man with a swift move. Krill sees this and instantly takes a liking to Arthur for this. Later, Arthur is called from his cell to join Krill in his section, where Krill offers Arthur a job. Arthur refuses and suddenly attacks Krill, using a pole to suffocate and knock him out. Arthur then mixes a concoction using snake venom and forces Krill to drink it, which overdoses him. His guards hear the commotion and come in, but Arthur props Krill up to make him appear like he is praying. When the alarm is raised, Arthur quickly uses the Semtex to create an explosive and rubs the shark repellent over his body. The guards see him on the cameras and try to capture him, but Arthur blows the walls before diving into the sea. He comes aboard a boat sent by Crane, where he gets to talk to Gina. Crane gives him his next target, Adrian Cook, a billionaire businessman based in Sydney. Arthur arrives and begins to scope out the target, who has a large heavily secured penthouse on top of a skyscraper. He pretends to be interested in buying a suite, then takes a picture of the manager's master key to clone it. Later he creates a chemical mixture that when it reacts it can break very thick glass. With this, Arthur gains access to the apartment below Adrian's, then uses gadgets to climb along the outside of the windows, right below Adrian's pool. Using suction cups, Arthur gets to the middle of the pool, drills and injects the chemicals just as Adrian is about to go for a swim. Once Adrian dives, the mixture breaks the glass, causing him to fall to his death. Crane sees the news reports of Adrian's death and offers to let Arthur talk to Gina, but while his man is setting up the cameras, Gina repositions the camera. Once Arthur calls, he picks up on the cue, but Crane's man ends her call. Zooming in on the image, Arthur pulls the hull number and learns that the yacht is actually at the Sydney harbor. He charters a helicopter and finds the boat setting off from the harbor. Arthur dives from the helicopter a distance off and is able to board the yacht after taking out a few men. The boat is heavily guarded, but using the element of surprise, Arthur takes out the men on deck. He heads down below where he is spotted and a gunfight erupts. He sees the men trying to move Gina from her room, but they are too many and hold him back with gunfire. He tries once more to fight off the men, but this time they take him down with a cattle prod. Crane then warns that he will kill Gina if he tries that again and orders him to take out the last man. The target is a wealthy American arms dealer named Max living in Bulgaria. Arthur arrives and begins to scope out his heavily guarded fort, which intel from Crane says is hiding a missile silo underneath. While planning his attempt, Arthur realizes that Crane is using him to take out his competition in the criminal underworld. Arthur grabs his sniper rifle and gets a good sight of Max's compound and shoots and injures one of its guards. The compound then calls for a chopper from the hospital nearby and Arthur secretly hitches a ride. Once the chopper lands, Arthur sneaks into the compound where he begins to take out the guards on his way to look for Max, whose guards are taking him to a panic room due to the intruder. Max locks himself inside his safe room, but is surprised to see Arthur sitting in front of him. Arthur warns him about the attempt on his life from Crane and the two begin to plan how they can get him instead. Arthur and Max fake Max's death in an explosion and soon news reaches Crane, who is pleased. Arthur gives Crane a call, telling him they can find Max's body in his submarine pit to confirm the kill, but Crane orders his men to kill Arthur once they do. Arthur begins to rig the entire submarine pit as Crane's men are pulling up in a boat. The men arrive and begin to search for Arthur, who launches his attack on the men. He activates his traps, sending the men running in all directions and taking out the rest with his rifle. Crane's right-hand man tries to escape inside a sub, but Arthur throws a grenade in after him. Crane sees all this go down on the cameras and tells his men to get ready as he knows that Arthur is on his way. Arthur is able to board the yacht and take out Crane's guards posted in a flurry of strikes. He grabs a gun and begins clearing a path to Gina. Meanwhile, the men are moving Gina, who decides to fight back, but ends up getting shot in the stomach during the struggle. Arthur is totally demolishing the guards who can't seem to get a hit in. Seeing that his men don't stand a chance, Crane sets the entire yacht to blow before making his escape, leaving Gina. Arthur finds her and sees the bomb, and with quick thinking he puts Gina inside an escape pod and launches her out of the sub. Arthur then goes after Crane, who is trying to leave the boat, and manages to take out the rest of his guards. The two men then engage in a brutal gun battle, which leads into a one-sided fist fight as Arthur puts him down easily. I guess he didn't pass child soldier camp. Crane manages to overpower Arthur and attack him using a surprisingly light anchor. Arthur takes a few blows, but gains the upper hand and straps Crane to the boat using the chain. The yacht then explodes, killing Crane and seemingly Arthur as well. Gina is rescued soon after and what is left of the boat is salvaged. Gina returns to her work in Cambodia with the kids when she is surprised by Arthur. Max discovers Arthur survived by escaping in a watertight chain locker, but destroys the evidence as a token of gratitude for sparing his life and enabling him to monopolize the arms trade. Remember to subscribe and turn on notifications, so you can watch more movies like this. Thanks for watching.